I had to do an addendum. It's not the part 3 I wanted to do, but it's the part 3 you deserve. I'll post that in a minute, but someone's got a question in here, and it's referring it. Joke. I'm in Portland. It smells like reefering. Okay, here we go. You're talking shite. What about... Everybody knows it's going to be what about. On the list of Satanists and abusers of children, you're an arrogant Yankee turd. Yankee turd. So you're a Brit. Okay. I think by your attack on our person, you must be, by definition, be an arrogant Democrat, Yankee turd. He says democratic. There's nothing wrong with being democratic. Democracies are good. Republics are good. They're in a democratic republic. So, I'm not Brit. Go fuck yourself. Next, you deciding that all the evil Satanists and child violators that are running the country. You're one of these people who listens to lots and lots of reptilian stuff. So, what about? What's funny is it's a video where I'm not actually talking shit about the person he says I am. But okay. I mean, I'm not really. I'm discussing back and forth the pros and cons of what are being talked about. And I'm going to repeat the main point of the video. If you assert or claim or accuse somebody of something and you have no evidence of it, you're guilty of just fucking around and wasting people's time. And if you claim you're doing it for some really important thing, like a person who's hurting someone, and you don't call the police and have them arrested for it, you don't have any evidence for it, then you don't believe truly that they're hurting anybody. No, it's not for the children. You're doing it for your own amusement, and it's really sick amusement of your own. Next, flare launchers are not a destructive device. I myself have and it's orange plastic one along with a Polish military flare pistol. If you plan on shooting any other rounds other than flared or fireworks round, you have to pay $200 to register the device. Yeah, because at that point the use of it makes it a destructive device. They're born destructive devices unless they say they're not. And you're specifically bringing up the TBL, the Bates and Ditas TBL 37. That is literally the one that is declared by definition. It is born a destructive device unless it has certain characteristics. But yeah, you can just pay $200 and you can make a shotgun that has a barrel this long. I know how to make one without having to pay that. There's a way of doing it so you don't have to do that. You can legally build any pistol you want to as long as you do certain things, and I'll have a separate video for you. Then you have to get a number etched into it. No. I'm going to have an entire video how you can legally do this stuff. If anybody's curious, I'll finish that later. But you don't have to have any number they give you unless they demand it. They can actually do that, especially if you do it wrong. You also have to register every round you intend on shooting. No, you don't. No, I'm not kidding. You don't. You're not required to register every round you have to fire from a gun that's now listed as a destructive device. The rounds have to have been made, purpose-built for that. If it's when you make your own rounds, then you have to go through the rules, or just get a goddamn license and become a gun manufacturer. It's not that complicated. They sell an adapter for the flare gun along with 37mm B&D to shoot sub. Again, it will cause you to have to register a launcher. No. If you put it in with the round in it first and fire it, you have made a round, you have made a cartridge that will go into it, and suddenly it's turned into a destructive device. Putting it into it, and then putting the round in it and firing it, and then pulling it back out, legally does not. I'm not kidding. Somebody actually had to bring that up in a court case. It's not part of the law. It's part of case law, and it's not been challenged. But yeah, if you make a bunch of rounds and glue the round in so it'll fit into the cartridge, as a cartridge, that's very different. That means you're manufacturing ammunition. However, if you just put ammunition into it after you've converted it, it's not a destructive device because it's not firing a large caliber cartridge. When you put it in the adapter and then drop it in, that's a large caliber cartridge going into the gun. This is a very, very bizarre video. That'll be video number 3. I've already done video 2.5. Anyway, what confuses me is why are black powder weapons exempt from being a destructive device? They were grandfathered in, they cannot fire multiple times, and they cannot use normally. pre-made cartridges, or you get the idea. The need no numbers on them, and there's no paperwork to fill out, because unless it can fire cased ammunition, it doesn't need it, because they assume you're going to pour gunpowder down the barrel and pack it down and everything. However, there is a cartridge type that was invented for it. It was sometimes called the bitey. You could rip off a tab on it, put the gun upside down so it's pointed straight down, push it in, and then push it up in there, and the top of it was just bare gunpowder, press against it, and it was filled with the right F value, and then you put F in it, or you put a cap. The other one was to push it all the way down without ripping the tab off after you drop in a pellet of something and push it down, and that turns it into a flashover. You put in a little bit of flash powder where you shouldn't put it, and the flash powder has the effect of setting it off. It's a very delicate balance. But somebody actually made a cartridge for muzzle loaders, and legally they said, okay, technically we're just going to let you get away with it. And yes, someone I already mentioned in the other video, I've already got it built up. Somebody made cartridge ammunition that was cone shaped to go into them by putting an adapter permanently into the barrel, because you can do it at one end, not the other. And also conversion to breech loader instead of muzzle loader, making it into a shotgun, was legal. Basically everybody and their uncle switched over to cartridge ammunition by just taking apart perfectly good muzzle loader and taking out the breech plug and all the other parts and making it into a normal shotgun. So when that was happening, they basically said, we can't grandfather in all of these guns. Yes, we can. Well, somebody is still making them, but they want to make them all into shotguns. Okay, we'll make shotguns. I wonder if you're like me. Normally, I listen to podcast music when I drive. I don't have a car. But when there's a big news story, you know, the mass shootings, I tune into local AM radio station. I'm in San Francisco. Gotta be liberal left-leaning, right? That's a fun joke. Haven't listened to them for a while anyway. Anyway, so glad I did. They have solved the issue of mass shootings. It's simple. The devil has invaded the minds of the internet-addicted 20-year-old white dudes, infected them with the crazy. We need to reinfect them with God. God will banish the filthy one back to the pits of hell. Gotta admit, I'm beginning to think this isn't a lefty station. Second voice makes it across the waves. This one says, I think we need to legalize the sex trade so they can get laid. These young men are in cells imponderably celibate or something. That's the problem. Okay. So now I'm lost. God is bringing hookers for all the 20-year-old white males. Okay. I'm 63. Paddock was 64. So I can get me a hooker also. God is buying right. So I started thinking of a thought experiment. It would go like this. You are sitting next to a button. The button pushes open 10 block boxes, in which are in the room you're observing. Each box contains a fully loaded assault weapon. The owner of each rifle is also in the room, and your responsibility under Second Amendment is to push the button, granting each owner access to retrieve his rifle. You are told that one of the gun owners may be mentally ill, possibly homicidal. Do you push the button? The only winning game is not to play. Don't open any of them. So anyway, I've been called the Democratic Yankee turd, rather than an undemocratic Yankee fart, old fart. And I've discussed some weaponry today, and that's fun. The other video will be on more details, but it has to do with the atf.gov file /55446 download that actually explains why a cap gun can be considered a pistol for some reason. Because of the legalities and illegalities, and because people make their own toy weapons and good weapons and bad weapons and zip guns. One of the other things that people don't bring up is the device you're holding in your hand safe and effective? Meaning, won't hurt you, but will hurt who you're aiming at because it is a weapon. And that actually became one of the deciding factors in a lot of these things. And oddly enough, through happenstance, because of the 50 caliber arbitrary number, one of the ways to get a hold of a 12-gauge pistol is to get one that is neither safe nor effective for you. It won't hurt the other person, well, at least most likely, and it will definitely hurt you, just enough to make you not do it again. Negative reinforcement in the law. That video will be up. Anyway, thanks for your comments and concerns, and arrogant lefty fart here. Thanks for watching. Bye.